Imagine launching your magazine by giving out thousands of copies at a trade show, and a couple days later, somebody comes to you with Post-it notes covering the whole thing. And instead of criticizing, she said, "I really want this to succeed." That changed everything. If you're an artist, a maker, a crafter, and you are building an online business, today we're talking with Carla Canonico. She is the publisher of A Needle Pulling Thread and the blogs Quilt Social and Knit Much. I can't wait for you to meet her. Hello, Carla. It is so good to have you here with us today. I appreciate your being here. Why don't you tell us who you are, what you do, and then let's get into listening to your creative journey.
Okay. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here on your podcast. I'm very excited. My journey, well, I'm the co-founder, publisher, editor-in-chief of A Needle Pulling Thread magazine. It's print and digital, and Quilt Social and Knit Much, online blogs and magazines. So let's just start with my mom. My mom was an avid sewer. She always sewed at the kitchen table on weekends, and she sewed all my clothes, all her clothes, so some of my father's shirts, just to tell you the extent of it, right? And she instilled in me like a very strong sense for good fabric. And at the time, that was pretty cheap. You know, when you'd find them in stores.
I remember.
And, they were very, not cheap, but affordable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Linens and cottons, and they were really beautiful. My grandmother was a knitter. I mean, she knit all the time, to the point where 2 weeks before she passed away, she was still knitting. I still have some of her sweaters. So then after that, I was busy with school and then got married and kids and all that. So yeah, I was bit busy with that. So I didn't really do much of a hands-on, craft of that sort. Anyways, so once I was home with the kids, I was able to stay home with them, and I got into cross stitching. And that's when, this passion grew bigger and bigger, and the projects grew bigger and bigger and bigger. And so what happened is that I had to, at least 2 hours a day, I would cross stitch, to the point where one day it occurred to me, there are no Canadian needlework magazines. And that kind of sparked an interest. And then I started to think and said, well, hold on a second, and this is like without any kind of publishing, formal training, nothing like that. Okay. Just the sheer thing of saying, okay, I have a knack for taking good pictures. I like to frame things really well. And this again is from a young age. I mean, I would take a picture of my parents and it'll look really great. And for my age, you could say, wow, it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I had that inner sense without even knowing it at the time, right? And it occurred to me, okay, then I had, I graduated from McGill University in modern languages. So I already had some writing skills, right? And so I thought, okay, well, a bit of that and a bit of this, and a huge passion for the needle arts in general, because it's not like I just liked, sewing or just like cross stitch. I liked it all, but one attracted me more than the other, a bit every day, right? So so that's how it started. So I started nearby and said, well, this is my intention. So I'd go visit a yarn shop. I'd go visit an embroidery place, which existed at the time here, and started to talk to people and designers and, well, what do you think? Would you like to participate? And blah, blah. And before you know it, we started the magazine. Now I say we because I'm not alone in this. At the time, my husband was in between jobs. And so he said, well, you know what, you might need some help, So I said, yeah, well, maybe. Yeah, I might need it. Okay, sure. So we plunged in and that's how it started. He does all the administrative work. All the technical work. Oh, thank God. And so we started in 2005 and it took off. So we went to a lot of shows. And so that's how it started. But then as I was looking for talent and all that, well, the quilters felt left out and the knitters felt left out. And, so then I started to say, okay, well, how about like a general needlecraft magazine, right? So that's how it started.
Right. I love that no official publishing experience, and
Mm-hmm.
you just had an idea and rolled with it.
Yeah. Not always a good idea to start that way, but that's how I started.
It's slower and there's probably more
Yeah.
bumps along the road if you
Y-
don't have the knowledge that you need to start with.
mhm.
But you can always get it either through experience or getting help from people who do have that knowledge. And it's been going 20
20
years.
years.
That's a
Yeah.
very long
It,
time in
of,
an industry in the magazine world where that's so many of them. I love that. Well, you can do that because it's just you. You haven't been bought out by publishing houses who then close all the magazines.
right. Right. Yes. We are all kind of closing down or whittling down how many publications per year we're doing. We went from 4 to 3. And so here we are. So yeah. It is not a career or an endeavor for people who, I don't know, like you
Who are
really
not persistent.
persistent. But so the thing is that a needle pulling thread started 20 years ago. And
Mhm.
then feeling a little bit of that kind of shift on the ground of where magazines were going, right? And where, like all the social media was starting to take off, like YouTube was starting at the time and all that. We started to feel, well, maybe, we should start to do more online. And our way to highlight sponsored products online, we thought, well, what if we start with a blog? So we started with Quilt Social, and Quilt Social sort of was the focus for everything quilting and creative sewing as well online. So this was a blog, and then every 3 months we would issue an online magazine, kind of recapping everything that we did in the past 3 months. And it was
Mhm.
all free, so it was very, very good for sponsors, meaning that it was very easy for people to access. No
Mm.
need to subscribe. There, magazine is available. Quilt Social and later Knit Much. They are available for free, meaning that you can see them at any time and they're still there. But if you want to download a copy, then there is enough. So it's really like $3
But
or something
the
like that.
income model comes from sponsorships. Do you have
Sponsorships,
which is
exactly.
advertising, right?
Yes, exactly. So we do it for that. However, we have as we are showing the products, we are showing, like everything quilting, all kinds of techniques and free patterns. So as we are doing the free pattern that you can definitely follow along, yeah, there are techniques to look at, to learn, products to see how they work,
Mhm.
etc.
And
So
so that brings in the sponsorships and
that's right.
the people who are like, I want to get my
Yeah,
work in front of your people, my
right.
products.
Right. Because even like for example, when we are given like a machine to feature, sewing machines, well, they go through a lot of detail. Well, this is what it does. Well, how is this one different from the one that we saw last month, right? So the same brand, but a different model. So we go through or they go through all the features and what's in
Mhm.
it, the unboxing and how it works and things like that.
Oh,
It's very detailed. It's very rich.
right. And it is just, you've been going for 20 years, so it's financially
Hmm.
viable to
Yep.
work through the sponsorships.
Yep. It is. Yeah.
Interesting. So most of the time I'm talking to people who teach online or do something live in person or with video, and you actually don't, but it's still an online business model that supports you.
Right.
I'm grateful that it is financially viable and supports you because I've looked through it and it's a fantastic resource. People will make sure to include all the links in the show notes because you're going to absolutely love it if you haven't accessed these resources yet. You do a lot of writing, you bring in other people who do writing, and it's all on a blog platform?
Right. So a needle pulling thread is strictly print and digital. Okay.
Hmm.
So that's more
It's
that
just
has
it's a
a
magazine.
different, exactly. And then you have Quilt Social and Knit Much that work the same way in terms of sponsors say, well, this is the product I would like you to feature for March, April. June,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I find the designers, the teachers that have time to write. And so now they write the blog posts. Now I have very strict lists of, a method, a process on what I need. I need the details of the product. I need, like how it works. You have to show this, you have to show that, you have to write about this, you have to write about that. And in the end, it depends because so sometimes it's a particular product is best just as a tutorial.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's a good idea if we did a tutorial last month and we're reviewing it again this month, then we do a pattern. A free pattern. Now, these are series of 5 blog posts, 5 consecutive blog posts. So one rolls into the next. And sometimes they just really are a standalone, but it's all related. So, for example, thread, right? So if we had a thread sponsor, then we look at one thread line, another thread line, and so on. And we explain what this is, what that is, the qualities and what to watch for, how to set up your sewing machine for that thread and this thread. So anyways, it's so much fun. It really is. There have been difficult parts of it, but in general, it's been just a lot of fun for me in terms of the, gathering the designers and talking, and getting them excited. My favorite part in working with designers is sometimes, they said, Carla, I've done this and I've done that before. I'm a bit stuck. What should I do for this particular month? And I love to brainstorm. And I say, oh, I've got ideas. How about this? How about that? How about that? Choose the one that you want. And there's always a spark that lights up. So that part is a lot of fun.
2 things I'm thinking from that. One, you actually are teaching mini courses.
Mm-hmm.
You actually are helping educate people with things.
Yeah.
It's just through a series of written lessons that happen to be in the form of a blog or a magazine.
That's right.
The second thing is, do you track any data on how it benefits your writers? If they're writing for you, are you paying them
Yes.
or?
Oh, they are
Okay.
paid. Yeah, they are paid because it's also the extent of the information. It's not like a 5-minute or 1-minute Instagram post.
Mhm.
These are, they sit down, they have a job to do, a task with this product. And sometimes it's like several products. So
Mhm.
sometimes they could like his notion. So there's a scissor, there's this, there's that. So there are a lot of things to cover, especially sewing machines. So how can I say, okay, well, you get this, the machine is actually shipped to them. And so they will have the machine for, I don't know, however long the sponsor would like us to cover that for
Mhm.
however many months, right? So there's all this back and forth thing. So that's another thing that I enjoy is organizing all that and finding the right designer or teacher to do that, right? So who is best, who is technically inclined to tell you all about the machine? It's one
And
thing
who
to
can
sew.
actually write?
Can actually. Yes. So the writing there's where I come in the sense where I edit everything.
Mhm.
And yeah, so which is another thing I like to do, especially, because of the theme, well, with sewing and all that, or knitting, right, as the knitting counterpart. And yeah, so that part is covered where I edit everything. And going back to a needle pulling thread, I edit all the instructions. They are given strict formatting instructions.
Mhm.
What to put first, second, third, fourth, and you have to have these things in your instructions. And this is aside from the pictures. The pictures, well, we can get to those in some other time. But but that's another set of rules: what to do, what not to do, how to take them, how to shoot them, and things like that. But even then, when I get them in, there's always little tweaks that I have to do. And it's normal. They are very busy trying to get everything that's in their head down on paper. So that part I enjoy as well. So that's what I was saying. It's like even from an early age, I remember being like, I don't know, 5 years old or something, and being in the kitchen. The television was on too, Bugs Bunny, the Bugs Bunny hour. And I remember sitting there, and one of my favorite things was to actually cut out catalogs, magazines, like the images, and laying it out on this empty copybook, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I used to love to arrange the pieces on the page, just glue,
So you've
glue.
been an editor.
Yeah, well, right. But it never even occurred to me when I was in school that that was even a thing,
Yeah,
right?
we
Like
don't
like
know.
a possible career. Had I known earlier, I would have said, well, why don't I go into graphic design or something? No formal training in that, and yet this is what I do. I use InDesign in order to create the magazine. I do have graphic help, meaning where the photos are photoshopped by our graphic help. She's
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. She helps me with that. She also lays out the magazine in our format right off the bat. However, so I work in InDesign in the sense where when I get the file where all 100 pages of a needle pulling thread are done, then I go in. If there's something that needs to shift, something that needs to be always a little bit improved, I like it better this way.
I love I love to hear how things work behind the scenes. We learn so much that even from wildly unrelated businesses, when you learn how things are put together, when you learn how things work, there's always something you can apply and learn to do with what you're doing. I would love to hear, what are some of the things that have been difficult in your business over the years?
Yeah, is getting the word out. That I think has
Mm.
got to be the I mean, wait a minute. Perhaps I should go to day one. So day one is like setting it up. So, and the thing is, my goodness. Okay. So my husband is an engineer with an MBA. All right. So thankfully he knew what he was doing. But even there, we both had to learn what we were going to do, right? So we all had completely different backgrounds, but still things that we could kind of really apply to what we were about to embark. There's still administration things to do. There's still, on my part, communication skills, right,
Mhm.
with
Of course.
sponsors and designers. So everything we knew, we were not really starting from zero. However, we did start from zero on learning about InDesign on our own. So he learned it first while I was busy doing other things, and then I had to learn it. And so all these things we had to learn from zero, right? How to write a newsletter or how to produce a newsletter. Photography, I was always so excited about. I always wanted people so I always wanted the projects to come to me. I wanted to have full control of the pictures. So that's not so much of a learning thing. It was more of a trying to dream up the best scenario for this quilt, this
Mhm.
jacket that is knitted up, embroidery things and all that. So that wasn't a big that was more the fun, right?
Yeah, everybody has a part in their business that is their favorite part,
You
right? And
bet.
I can tell the designing
Yes.
is
The
is
creative
one of
part.
your favorite parts. But then there are also in every business's parts that we don't want to do and that are difficult. And sometimes we have no choice but to do them ourselves if we want the outcome, or sometimes we're able to get somebody else to do it for
To
us, right?
do it, yeah.
But even then, understanding how the thing that needs to be done works and what its purpose is and the process and what outcomes you need are kind of vital to the business owner so that they know what they're getting and what they're asking for when they hire somebody else out to do it. So
Mhm.
what are the not your favorite parts of your business?
Well, being an introvert, social media, I'll be very honest, I don't like social media. It's not like I don't like it, it's just that I'm more of a let's get this done, right? Like I'm not so much of a chatty. I know I sound chatty. I know I do, but not, like, oh, look at this or look at that. No, like I'd rather be in, actually producing the magazine and the blog posts and contacting the designers, and the communication with them is almost for me more important than me showing you something on social media myself.
Mhm.
Like if I had to, because I mean, I've got ideas. Oh, well, I could show the blank. Yeah, well, I'll get to it like tomorrow, and it never came just
Mhm.
because there's so many things to do, like the edits, the photography, the
Right.
communication. And when you're editing, there's a lot of little tiny little things that you have to watch for, right?
Yeah, it's
It's
very
not
detail oriented. So, is social media the main marketing channel that you are using?
you could say that. Yeah,
So
I would
it's
say
how you get your
the word across.
product out to
Right.
people.
So the thing is, it is there,
Mhm.
but I find I would have preferred to have, a lot more interaction. But in order to have that interaction, you need either someone to take my place or me removing myself from everything else that I have to do and be social. So I'm being very, very open here, like I'm an introvert by nature.
Mhm.
I'm social, but I really like my space and my work and all that. So when it comes to now I have to switch hats and be social, I'm like, not my favorite thing.
So what does your social media feed look like?
Well, it has all the posts. So all the
Mhm.
patterns are when we released like an issue. So first of all the releases, all the launches are there.
Mhm.
For Quilt Social and Knit Much, we have every day every day that has a post is also shared online, and this is through Pinterest, through Facebook, Instagram, and X as well. Right.
Right.
So we are there,
Do you
but
use a social media managing software?
Tailwind.
Tailwind is
Yeah.
good.
So
I've heard lots of good
tailwind,
things.
right? And so, but again, for that, I have help so that, I have someone doing that for me,
Good.
sharing that. Because, like I said, I just couldn't, there are only so many hours a day, right? And night and all that. So, yeah,
Yeah, and some things are not scalable, and our
hmm
time is not
exactly. It's
scalable,
not. Yeah.
right?
So that's
Good.
where we are at. And yeah, so now we are shifting gears, like adding more things like so we went from print and digital with a needle pulling thread. Then 2014, 2015, we started Quilt Social, and now we are seeing, well, what else now? So now my husband developed Postfeed. So Postfeed is an automated tool that shares brand posts onto retailers' social media platforms automatically and participating retailers. So the ones that opt in, they get the information, which really helps the retailers. It's a huge job for them to manage a retail store, all the people, all the everything that goes with it, and then turn around and again be social. Well, it's very hard to do. So this really gets rid of that problem for them.
That's
So that
brilliant.
yeah,
Brilliant for the product manufacturers and for the retailers. And we'll
exactly.
be talking to John eventually on the
Okay, sure.
podcast too
Yeah.
about this because I love the idea. So if you had do you do goal planning? Do you do like vision, this is my big dream and I'm working towards it, or are you already living it?
Well, we are. Yeah, we are because there's always room for improvement. Like even what is there, there's always room for improvement. There's always things to improve behind the scenes, and and like the I mean, you should see the first issue of, just as an example, the first issue of a needle pulling thread to what it is today. I mean, leaps and bounds. Like at the beginning, it was like, well, okay, so we know we need this and this and that.
Is if you waited till you knew everything
I wouldn't
before you put it out there, it would never
have
happen.
started. No, because
And
there's also the thing about you don't know what you're getting yourself into unless you were in the business to begin with.
that's
No,
so
yeah,
true.
thank
We
God that I
dive
didn't
in and
know.
we don't know what's under the water.
That when I think about it, I say like, oh my God, that was if I don't know if I would do something like that again,
Yeah,
because you
what
really
a
don't know
fun
what's.
journey.
Hmm. Yeah, begin. So like anyway, so so like at the start, we launched it the fall 2005,
Mhm,
and okay, so and we launched it at the Creative Festival at the time. It was like, so we had a booth and all that. Okay,
mhm.
so like during the show, so maybe the third day, because we gave like I think 10,000 copies out to everybody that walked in, right, as the
Right.
big
That's
launch.
a lot
Yeah, well,
and
already
expensive.
that is a crazy notion, but anyways. So okay, so through 3 days after, because the show was like 3 or 4 days, this lady comes over and she's got my first issue, right, and she's got all the Post-it notes all around the edges. So not the spine, but the top, the side, the bottom edges. And she says, "Hi. Well, my name is so and so, and can I talk to you?" I said, "Oh, yeah, sure." And I'm wondering, what is my issue doing with all these Post-it notes? Wow. So she says, "Look, I really want this to succeed. So I hope you don't mind me sharing this, that." And she pointed out all the things that I would never even imagine. It was well done, but all the important details that make it from a magazine to a professional magazine.
Mhm.
When I applied that, then things started to change and evolve. It was
You
really
know,
amazing.
that is so scary, but also what a huge gift
Yes.
from magazine number 1 to
Yes.
have
First
somebody
issue.
volunteer their
Time.
their gift, their wisdom, their knowledge to
Hmm.
help you.
Yep.
It could be scary. She could have just said, "You did this wrong and this wrong and this wrong, and it's all terrible." And she said, "No, I
That
want you
wasn't
to succeed."
Yes, that wasn't the attitude. It was an attitude of, like I want this to work with you, as you said, and so I listened, and yeah. And then I got other tips along the way from, people who had that thing. Plus I find like when you're starting it, and again, no formal training, it's like you don't know what you don't know, but because you are also in it so deeply of all kinds of other of details that you can't see everything. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
And this,
absolutely. The forest for the trees, right?
yeah,
Can't
and
see the trees for the forest,
forest,
something.
yeah, something like that. So the thing is that even now, it's like I see the edit that I make, right? All the edits. Then somebody else transfers that onto the pages. When it comes back, what I thought would have been a good idea, I said, "Oh yeah, no, I don't think we should do that," and I will change it
Uh-huh.
because you're seeing it with fresh eyes in that
Right.
case, right? So it's sort of the same idea, but I had a lot to learn as well about that, about developing a magazine. So,
Yeah, I love seeing with fresh eyes.
hmm
And it's because it came back to you first after time
hmm
and second in a different format. And it applies in so many different ways for teachers who are editing or writing or doing anything. Like when I write, one of the things I do is, technology is fantastic, right? So I
yep,
have my computer read it to me in a monotone voice while I'm not looking at it because
hmm
I love writing, but I'm an absolutely terrible editor. I get so close and so
well,
in the weeds that I'm not seeing any of the mistakes. But when I hear it in a different medium, immediately it's like, oh,
mm.
pause. I have to go fix this thing. So
Exactly.
getting fresh eyes or a different perspective, an outside perspective, or looking at whatever you're doing from a different point of view helps you see it so much more clearly.
hmm Well, I have found that you cannot edit your own writing, and so what I do is like, for example, with the editor's letters, right? I will write it and I will leave it for a couple of days. So I'll just
Mhm.
jot it all down, improve it as much as I can at the moment, and let it be for 48 hours, and then come back to it, and then I'll say, yeah, ugh, that doesn't
Mhm.
sound right, or the story's wrong or whatever, right? And so I find that that helps. And also transferring it from the Word document that I originally wrote it in onto InDesign, that for some reason, and like you said, like hearing it in another medium or seeing it, reading it off of another screen of some kind with the pages that I had just finished embellishing two days ago, seems to make things stand out,
Mhm.
right? So that's yet another step, right? To further, refurbish
This is
the
a huge
letter.
plug for not leaving things till the last minute because then you do
Yeah,
have time.
you
And
have to.
just like even with your newsletter, send a test to yourself because when I'm editing my newsletter, I've got all the blocks and all the editing visuals in the
Right.
way, right?
Yeah.
And then I see it exact same thing
Mm,
on the same screen, but
mm.
I'm reading it in the newsletter going, same,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And this is also reminding us this is just standard practice for writing, but it applies to so much else, right? When we are making an online course or when we're writing a blog post or when we're making a social media post. Sure, get it up, put it out there, but
Mhm.
come back and look at it and learn from it what you can do better next time.
Yeah.
Part of our thing and part of the social media thing is it's not like a magazine or a written blog post where you can edit it a number of times before you put it up and change the writing with a video with
Yeah.
things like that. You know,
It's true.
it's better to just get it up
Hmm.
and you can't change the video once it's up on social media. You can change it in your online course, but you can certainly learn from it.
Hmm.
Instead of looking at it and judging, you can be your own advisor, your own wisdom giver, and look back with kindness and say, I want you to be able to do better instead of
Right.
saying, oh, that was terrible,
Yeah.
because we're our
Yep.
own worst judge,
Yes, we are. We
right?
are.
But we can learn and just choose one thing to be better at on the
Hmm.
next video. And like you were saying, you look back at your first edition of the
Yeah.
magazine and go, oh,
Yikes.
but what a beautiful journey to see the
Hmm.
improvement.
Yeah. Well, actually, if somebody were to see the first issue, probably wouldn't notice, you
Hmm.
know,
But you
because you don't
would
know what to
because you
look at.
know better.
Yes, that's right. And the lady who came to see us that time, she had experience in editing,
Hmm.
writing, and things like that. So that's why she came and said, "Can't do this." Why? Because. And
Well,
so yeah,
that's because
yeah,
she has the experience and the
experience.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Right? And there's something about the same looking back and not being a harsh critic of yourself,
Yeah.
but learning as you go, finding out what you can do better, and then watching your journey. That's the thing. With video, we have to be bad in public. You have to
Oh
be
yeah.
willing to kind of suck at it until you
Yeah.
get good, but it's a journey. And we are the only one looking at it going, oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
if we're offering information, if we're offering our gift, if we're sharing our joy of creativity in whatever medium we're working in, really we're bringing people something that makes their lives better, no matter how
Mhm.
bad we think we look or sound or the video is, right?
Right.
So change our own perspective and our own judgment on what we do because it really isn't about us. It's
Mm.
about offering this gift
Right.
to people who will have joy in their lives because of this growth in creativity.
Right. Right. Well, and speaking of that, I don't know, but all the designers that I have worked with, like a lot of them want to participate all the time. Who am I to say no? They're very good. They're talented. So recently I had asked them, I said, could you start doing like reels, right, for YouTube and Instagram and things like that? And so, but I'm not good. I said, no, 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 no. But the thing is that you have to remember you're knowledgeable. That's what I'm interested in. You can always get good. You can always, plus it's never live, right? So you are preparing it in your studio and, try take one all the way up to take 10 if you have to get good at it. And the one thing that I really love about what I've been doing for 20 years, it has always had designers, not all of them, but, like a good half of them. They've sort of developed great skills at writing, at formatting instructions, and teaching. They've gotten more confident at it because of what we do together. And
Perfect.
now, yeah, so now with the video coming in, oh, could you do like a small reel? Well, oh my God, I've never done it. Well, here's your chance. Just do it and see what comes back. And then
Yeah, send them
slowly,
my way. I'll help
okay,
them
that's
out.
right. Yeah, I've got a list. I've got a list, And so, yeah, so they're all really good. And because of that, I find that even that experience has also improved their careers as quilters, teachers, and all that. So I don't know. It's just a wonderful world to live in, really.
It
But
is.
I'm a little
That
biased.
is. The creative world is full of people who bring goodness and beauty into a world that needs it. Nature is glorious on its own, but the built world, the human world, needs art,
Hmm.
needs creativity in order to make it livable.
Yeah,
And that's part of the joy that we bring.
yeah.
That is what we put out into the world. So if that's part of your driving purpose, it kind of does help you get through the really rough parts, right?
Yes. Yes. Well, there was also it's not just that, because like I don't think that I was alone in having this idea, but it was also with the goal to highlight Canadian designers.
Mhm.
Although in the magazine I've had many from the States, and like over the years, and one from Nigeria, a couple from France. So they've been and Italy too. So, like here and there, right? But my point is that I wanted to highlight Canadian designers because
Perfect.
they were, yeah, so it was a lot easier for them to get through.
Yeah, opening up a world where
Hmm.
there's not as much overwhelm from the American audience, right?
Yeah, yeah.
From the American crowd. I love that you had a specific audience that you wanted to serve both for your designers
Hmm.
and then sending it out. The technology we have online is still so miraculous to me that you can have a blog, you can have a digital magazine that is accessible to people around the world.
Hmm.
It lowers so many barriers and lets us have a reach that's immense.
Yeah, yeah.
It's beautiful. Carla,
It's a
it
lot of
has
fun.
been absolutely delightful to talk to you. I want to
Thank
ask you
you.
one question before you
Okay.
go that is just for fun. What is the
Okay.
last thing that you made?
Made in terms of the
Anything.
crafting. Okay, so the last thing I made is a cardigan.
Ooh,
And right now, it was called Crine. Oh gosh, I have to spell it because I wouldn't know how to pronounce it. Crinaeae, cardigan. And it is a knit. It's got cabling in the back and cabling in the
ooh,
front, has a shawl collar for cold winter days. So it's really good. So that's the last thing. Right now, I'm making a lace scarf, but it's very big, right? So it's a finger weight yarn and
mm,
it is lace work, which is absolutely beautiful. So that's for a friend. So there,
gorgeous.
for
How
Christmas,
fun
way
is
ahead of
that?
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have photos or patterns, we'll add them into the blog post and everything.
Okay.
That would be amazing. Where can people find you? What are your
Okay.
URLs?
URLs are aneedlepullingthread.com and just like the song. That's how the title was inspired. So much joy up out in the hills, so much joy when you're crafting. And then there's quiltsocial.com and knitmuch.com. Very
Excellent.
easy, very easy.
And we will most definitely have those links down in the show notes and in the descriptions everywhere that you
Wonderful.
listen to the
Thank you.
podcast. It has been a delight and a pleasure to chat with you. It always is. I'm
And
so
likewise,
lucky when
Lyric.
we run into you at the trade shows.
Yes, yes. It was nice to see you in May at the NAMTA, was it?
I
Yeah.
think we were both at H&H and
That's
NAMTA,
why. Yeah.
so
Good.
that
Yeah.
was fun.
H&H
Very
as well.
good. Well,
Great.
thank you for
Thank you
being with
for the
us.
opportunity, Lyric. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. All right. Take care. That was so much fun. Friends, what was your Post-it note moment? The thing that changed everything for you? Write it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. And if Carla's story lit up something for you and you need to make reels or you want to start teaching online, I invite you to come check us out at the Academy for Virtual Teaching. We have ways we can help you on your journey. Grab our 3-step promo video free workshop. The link will be below. And if you need a little help with equipment and technique, the video making crash course is there for you. Again, my friends, you make the world a better place. Never stop creating.